Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to one of my episodes. I appreciate your support. I would love to hear your thoughts and discuss with you in the comment section. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to support me. This episode is about stalking and its effects on the human psyche. I recommend watching it until the end. Thank you for your attention. In the unfathomable shadows of the past 4 years, I've been relentlessly pursued by an unseen predator, a faceless stalker whose methods were chillingly passive, a silent tormentor whose intent remained shrouded in ambiguity. Unyielding, I resolutely opted to not succumb to the terror, refusing to offer him the satisfaction of witnessing my dread. His preferred mode of torment? Relentless torrent of unnerving letters and sinister tokens, the likes of which included voyeuristic photos of me inside my own sanctuary, my apartment, snapped from the cold exterior, and morbid treasures excavated from my trash can. Despite numerous calls to the authorities, they were as impotent as phantoms, never once able to ensnare or identify this unseen marauder. Eager to share my uncanny experience, I sought solace in the depths of the German subreddit IMA, convinced that my anonymous presence wouldn't expose me to his digital gaze. One commentator, amidst the faceless masses, once probed, "You know you're shining a spotlight on him on Reddit, right?" I shrugged it off, retorting with a casual, maybe it'll provoke him. Don't know, don't care. However, the truth unraveled itself in a far more terrifying fashion. Yes, he had seen it. Yes, it had ignited his wrath. He, the silent menace, had never once attempted to breach my personal space, save for that one instance when I received a photograph of myself unlocking my own door, snapped from the eeriness of the stairwell that led up to it. I suspected a hidden camera, for I was certain I would have sensed his proximity had he been there in the flesh. Then came the silence. An unsettling quiet followed my digital expose. No letters, no disturbing gifts, only to be replaced by a fresh terror. Letters littered with printouts of my Reddit exchange, chilling evidence of his digital infiltration. The most unnerving addition was an ominous and hateful missive targeting my boyfriend, centered around an issue I'd voiced on the German version of Ada. His words had never dripped with such venom before. This newfound bitterness suggested a dark evolution in his obsession. My anonymous tormentor took his obsession further, crafting an unsettling narrative where I was to share the spotlight, attributing my newfound attention to his malevolent deeds. A mere few days later, perverse offering arrived, diverging from his habitual modus operandi. Not left in the safe anonymity of my mailbox or the impersonal proximity of my car, this macabre gift was placed directly in front of my sanctuary's threshold, deep within the bowels of my apartment building. Resisting the urge to bring it inside, I pried open the unusually large package right on my doorstep. It was bound with excessive tape, a cruel present waiting to be unwrapped. With every tear, I recognized the potential peril, the risk of disaster that I had courted. Fortunately, the box harbored no explosive demise. Its contents, however, still bore a chilling message. Among the unnerving contents were several zip ties, a roll of painter's tape, a mutilated TV remote with most buttons prized off, a pack of Band-Aids, some used, and a disturbingly recent photo of myself, tastefully framed. In the photo, my boyfriend's presence was conspicuously cut out, a chilling act of erasure. The frame, once a simple rectangle of protection, was shattered, a bed of glass shards splayed within the package, far exceeding what might have fallen off the frame naturally. The jagged pieces were intentionally placed amid the crumpled newspaper, which served as a malevolent cushion. Immediately, I summoned the authorities, who, upon assessing the foreboding gift, finally began to share my growing apprehension. Their patrol cars began making their presence known with increased frequency. There followed a brief respite of 1.5 weeks devoid of any disturbing letters or tokens. Then, just 8 days ago, the nightmare was rekindled. New letters began to arrive, seeping with resentment, claiming I'd wasted his time, that I didn't appreciate his efforts and his disillusionment with my specialness. Then came an ominous morning, 5 days ago. As I ventured out, my footfall was met with an unnerving crunch. He'd placed shards of broken glass under my doormat, a subtle, vile booby trap. In a rush to partner for work, I was simply going to. That day, my boyfriend's call to the authorities was interrupted by another terrifying revelation. My car, the very embodiment of my freedom, was now a grotesque canvas of my stalker's wrath. Savage scratches defaced its sides, the once crystal clear lights were shattered, and emblazoned across the windshield was a chilling message written in sinister strokes. "It's time soon, Miss Beckerick." Retreating back to my violated sanctuary, I contacted the police, only to discover the same blood-curdling message on a note slid under my door. This time, my escalating fury broke through their apathy, and their response mirrored my own terror. If you were of my stubborn ilk, you might dismiss the relentless letters, intrusive gifts, invasive photos, and even the shards of glass lurking under my doormat as mere inconveniences. However, the marring of my car struck a rock chord within me. It was a disturbing violation that frightened even my heart and spirit. Yet, amid the chaos, a beacon of hope emerged. A dash cam in my car had captured everything, its unblinking lens documenting my stalker's twisted acts. Despite the grainy quality of the footage, it offered new, concrete evidence, prompting the police to intensify their investigation and promise an augmented patrol presence. The 2-day hush descended before it was shattered abruptly. In the unholy hour just after 4 a.m., the startling sound of our doorbell pierced the silence. My boyfriend and I rose from our beds, hesitant and on edge. Then the chilling blue light swashed over our apartment, and we heard the authoritative command, "Police, open the door." One of our downstairs neighbors, recently home from a night shift, had called them after he heard the furtive sound of an intruder entering the building. Aware of my plight, my vigilant neighbors had been instructed to not admit strangers and to remain alert. The neighbor had retreated into his apartment, peering through his peephole to observe the unknown visitor. The motion-activated lights in our stairway served as the neighbor's only source of surveillance, and he waited in anticipatory dread for their ominous flicker. They eventually sprung to life, revealing the form of a middle-aged man ascending the stairs. Suspicion heightened as the man walked towards the apartments above, which only housed my boyfriend and myself, and a single mother with her 3 children, unlikely recipients of a visitor at such an unholy hour. His instinct compelled him to alert the authorities. As the spectral blue lights of the patrol car splashed over the building, the police discovered my faceless tormentor lurking on the half-floor above my apartment, ominously suspended on the stairway. Despite the vantage point offering a view of the flashing police lights through a small window, he remained in his haunting position, either oblivious to the approaching peril or perhaps craving his inevitable capture. A cold pocket knife was found in his possession, and, with chilling immediacy, he confessed to his years-long campaign of terror. After 4 years of psychological siege, a single, provocative Reddit post, and the vigilance of a caring neighbor, the spectral threat was finally apprehended. His reign of terror ended. Now, he faces the justice system, bearing the weight of numerous charges. Over these years, I've meticulously gathered every piece of evidence, a mounting pile of proof against his reign of terror. The outcome of this legal battle remains shrouded in uncertainty, but the immediate respite that his capture has brought is undeniably palpable. Finally, after an eternity, peace graces my life once more. In the bleak days following my college graduation, I found myself in an austere existence, living on a shoestring budget. To mitigate the financial strain, I had no choice but to cohabitate with a stranger, a man named Benito. Initially, he seemed benign and congenial, a man of few words with a thick, intoxicating Spanish accent that rolled off his tongue like a dark, mysterious melody. The room that was to become my sanctuary was already furnished, a detail that added a touch of allure to the otherwise dreary apartment. Nestled in the corner was a modest twin-sized bed, while a decent-sized dresser commanded attention elsewhere in the room. A closet, a TV stand strategically placed in another corner, and the surprising sight of an assortment of stuffed animals perched atop the dresser completed the scene. The sight of the teddy bear, oversized and oddly out of place, staring directly at the bed, sent an unexpected chill up my spine. Upon inquiry about the peculiar display of stuffed animals, Benito let out a disconcerting roar of laughter. He claimed his room housed a similar collection and strongly advised against disturbing them, a peculiar tribute to the landlord, he claimed. The day ended on a somewhat ominous note, as I didn't converse much with Benito and busied myself with unpacking my belongings and setting up my TV. That first night, cocooned within the dim confines of my room, I thought I detected an anomalous sound over the hum of the television. It was fleeting but clearly perceptible, a tiny whisper of electronic resonance. Dismissing it as the typical noise one would expect from an aging apartment, I resumed watching my show, Anise quietly gnawing at me. Benito was conspicuously absent the next day. His employment status was a mystery to me, but I rationalized that he must be at work. As nightfall shrouded the apartment in eerie shadows, I was once again absorbed in the blue glow of my TV screen when I heard the front door creak open, followed by the rhythmic, heavy footfalls of Benito echoing down the hall. The closing of his door was the final punctuation mark on the unnerving symphony of the night. As the night fell, I found myself getting ready for bed, slipping into my pajamas when the mysterious, electronic sound from the previous night echoed again. This time, without the TV's murmuring drone in the background, the noise was unmistakably clear. A chill traced down my spine as I identified it as an electronic device of some sort. However, I couldn't pinpoint its source or nature. Trying to shake off the creeping unease, I crawled into my bed and lost myself in the words of my current novel before eventually drifting off to sleep. The following day, upon my return from work, I encountered Benito. His cryptic inquiry about my current read caught me off guard. Initially, I failed to comprehend the context until he mentioned seeing the book in my room. I stared at him, a mixture of disbelief and confusion swirling inside me. I questioned him, and he casually admitted to entering my room to retrieve something he had left behind. His heavy Spanish accent did nothing to lessen the eerie chill of his confession. A stern request for him to respect my privacy followed, even though I knew the lack of a lock on my door made it impossible to enforce. Later that night, as I reached under my bed for my book, a strange thought struck me. How could Benito have seen the book if I'd stored it under my bed? A cold wave of dread washed over me, robbing me of any desire to read. My gaze swept across the room, only to be met by the disturbingly perfect angle at which the oversized teddy bear on the dresser was positioned to face the bed. An unsettling realization dawned upon me. With trembling hands, I approached the bear and peered into its eyes. My heart froze as I discovered a tiny camera lens nestled within one of the eye sockets. In an instinctive wave of revulsion, I flung the bear into a corner of the room and bolted towards Benito's door. Unlike my room, his door was locked. Behind the impenetrable barrier, I could hear the faint murmur of his existence. The dread solidified as I pounded on the door, shouting his name into the silence, demanding answers. Despite the fierce knocking and yelling, there was no response from Benito, only the sinister sliver of light sneaking from underneath his door serving as a silent testament to his presence within. As the confrontation outside Benito's door proved fruitless, I watched with rising dread as the tiny streak of light filtering from beneath his door abruptly extinguished. The utter darkness that ensued appeared almost sentient, brimming with horrifying implications. I retreated to my room, my heart pounding a fierce rhythm against my ribs, and reached out to the landlord. With a shaky voice, I recounted the disturbing discoveries and announced my immediate departure, using the unnerving circumstances as a potent reason to breach the rental agreement. I hurriedly gathered the meager possessions I had packed into my car. Each moment in the apartment felt like an eternity. That very night, under the cloak of darkness, I escaped the haunting confines of the apartment, vowing to never look back. In a strange twist of fate, the landlord never pursued me for the rent due for the few days I had stayed. I wondered if my chilling tale had struck a chord of fear in him too. However, the sinister ordeal left an indelible scar on my psyche. From that eerie night onwards, the mere sight of a stuffed bear evokes a paralyzing fear within me. I find myself compulsively turning them away, ensuring they're not facing me, as a grim reminder of the chilling secret hidden in the teddy bear's eye in the room I once thought of as a sanctuary. The harmless, comforting image of these toys has forever been tainted by the chilling memory of that malevolent teddy bear with its spying eye, casting an unseen, watchful gaze that was anything but innocent. To all who have been subjected to the chilling specter of stalking, remember, you are not alone. In these moments of fear and uncertainty, understand that there are numerous avenues of support available for you. From law enforcement agencies to dedicated advocacy centers, an extensive network of help is ready to stand with you. Reach out, make your voice heard, and do not allow fear to keep you silent. It may seem like a daunting path, but remember, these organizations exist to provide assistance and protection. Their sole purpose is to ensure your safety and well-being. So, stand strong, reach out for help, and know that you are not alone in this struggle.